The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person. Please.
Mr. President, after 3.5 years, do you regret at all the lying you've done to the American people? On
all
everything?
The what?
All the lying, all the dishonesties.
That who has done?
You have done. Tens of thousands.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Please. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about the payroll tax.
Go ahead.
Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say
Such
now?
a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. Wait a minute. And your question, the way you phrase that is such a disgrace. It's a disgrace to ABC television network. It's a disgrace to your employer. And that's the answer. You ready? There was no lie here.
He says he didn't lie. It's certainly an omission of truth, I think.
Okay.
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 Today, it was the mild-mannered French president who had to interrupt the blustering president of the United States when the president of the United States was lying. And it fell to the French president to correct the American president in a way we have never seen an American president corrected before by another head of state or by anyone. Donald Trump did his standard lie about Europe's aid to Ukraine, the lie that Europe has loaned money to Ukraine, and it's a loan, and Ukraine has to pay it back. Donald Trump became the first American president in history fully humiliated on the world stage by instantly getting caught and corrected in his lie.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total default, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money. To be clear, we have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day, in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
If you believe that, it's okay with me.
Mr. President,
But they get their money back, we don't, and now we do.
So Donald Trump's response to being corrected on his lie was to simply tell the lie again.
To Ukraine, I mean, we're in there for about $350 billion. I think that's a pretty big contribution.
Donald Trump just told the lie again. No previous president would be pathological enough to try to tell a lie like that right in front of the person he's lying about.
Dun, dun, dun.
3 days later.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Starmer in the Oval Office.
Well, Donald Trump was humiliated once again in the Oval Office, sitting in exactly the same chair where he was humiliated in exactly the same way in this same week, with the British Prime Minister sitting beside him.
They get their money back by giving money. We don't get the money back. Biden made a deal. He put in $350 billion. And I thought it was a very unfair situation.
We're not getting all of ours. I mean, quite a bit of ours was gifted. It was given. There were some loans, but mainly it was gifted, actually.
Donald Trump, once again,
we're in for $300 billion plus, and they're in for $100 billion. They get their money back.
That was a lie.
I'm a different kind of a president. We will be having a luncheon after this, and then another work session. And I believe we're going to have a press conference at the end.
Donald Trump proved once again how relentlessly uneducable he is by telling the same lie that he was humiliated for in the Oval Office.
Much of the European aid to Ukraine has been sent in the form of loans for which they expect to be paid back, and we didn't have that honor under the Biden administration. He sent money, or just sent it, money after money after money, and never had any knowledge of ever seeing it back. Maybe $300 to $350 billion.
He lied.
At levels that nobody thought possible. You're seeing what's going on.
Donald Trump said that Europe contributed less aid to Ukraine than the United States did. That's a lie. Europe has contributed more than the United States has.
There are responsibilities on Europe's side, and indeed, we have invested $128 billion in aid to Ukraine and the Ukrainians.
Donald Trump more than doubles the real number when he accuses Joe Biden of providing $350 billion in aid to Ukraine, when in fact it was $119 billion. The reality is that the Biden administration did not send money to Ukraine. The Biden administration sent weapons. The Biden administration sent ammunition, all of it manufactured in the United States. Almost all the money spent on aid to Ukraine was spent in the United States, buying the weapons and ammunition made by American workers in American factories. And again, it was less than half the amount Donald Trump says it was. And no European country expects to be paid back for the aid they've supplied to Ukraine.
Mr. President, tomorrow you're seeing President Zelensky to sign this deal on minerals and energy that could be hugely important to the United States. Will you take the opportunity to apologize to him for calling him a dictator, while praising Vladimir Putin, who is a dictator?
A dictator without elections.
Needless to say, Donald Trump simply did not answer Robert Peston's question. He just said, I think we're going to have a very good meeting tomorrow.
President, do you still think that Mr. Zelensky is a dictator?
Did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Next question.
You can't BS your way out of this story, particularly since your words are on tape.
How quickly they forget. But think of it, a modestly successful comedian. President Zelensky talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war.
As often is the case with Donald Trump, he didn't know if President Trump was lying or not.
Yeah, and it turns out that he was remarkably well-versed on the topic.
The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed. They get their money back. It's a form of a loan. We have to equalize, but while the United States gets nothing back, so they get their money back. It's a loan. We just give our money.
Clearly, it was a lie.
Yeah, in fact, that was on the record.
Because I said, we're spending $350 billion, and Europe gets their money back in the form of a loan, and we don't. We're just giving the money hand over fist.
He's lying.
No, I'm not.
It's just illogical.
That was a lie.
No.
You're the President of the United States. You shouldn't do that. I mean, what's the matter with you?
Fake news. President Zelensky is coming to see me.
Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, pardon me.
We are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I think I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. I do. I believe he wants peace. I believe that President Putin, when I spoke to him yesterday, I mean, I know him very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace. I think he would tell me if he didn't.
President Trump, I just saw your press conference with President Putin. and it was embarrassing. I mean, you stood there like a little wet noodle, like a little fanboy. I mean, I was asking myself, when are you going to ask him for an autograph or for a selfie or something like that?
And we've also always been there backing each other up between our two countries. That is why this is the greatest alliance for prosperity and security I think the world has ever seen. Whenever necessary, we've absolutely backed each other up, and that's at the
Could you
core of
take
the
on Russia by yourselves?
Well,
this is a war that Russia started. Ukraine did not ask for it. They did not ask to go to war with a nuclear superpower, and they did not ask for their cities to be reduced to rubble. They didn't ask for their children to be displaced and families to be torn apart. If Ukraine had its way, this war would have ended years ago. What happened at the UN puts us on the same side as Russia and North Korea. That's not just embarrassing, it is dangerous. It sent a message to our allies and every other country that relies on the U.S. to stand up to bullies and defend that America can defend them and help them defend themselves, that America cannot be relied on to rightfully call out unprovoked aggression. It told them that they are on their own, that America's words means nothing.
In the wide-ranging press conference, I asked Trump about his vow to pardon the January 6th rioters.
More than 140 police officers were injured by rioters on January 6th. Will you pardon anyone who attacked a police officer?
Well, you know, the only one that was killed was a beautiful young lady named Ashley Babbitt. She was killed. This would be the only insurrection in history where people went in as insurrectionists with not one gun. Okay? And let me tell you, the people that you're talking about have a lot of guns in their home for hunting and for shooting and for entertainment, a lot of good reasons. But there wasn't one gun that they found.
Ashley Babbitt was shot by Capitol Police as the mob tried to storm the House chamber, but guns were found on several rioters. Today, Trump would not say if he would pardon those convicted of violent offenses, including assaulting police officers.
I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big.
What he says.
And you take a look at what's going on out there. You have Russian ships, you have China ships, you have Chinese ships.
What he says.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
What does he say?
Well, there have been plenty of leaders in history who have leveled with people all over the world and have inspired confidence by telling them the truth and leveling with them.
Everything they said was weak and stupid. A lot of tariffs. It's a love match. And I'm very good at tariffs. And I know good tariffs, and I know bad tariffs, and a lot of tariffs. Incredible tariffs. I love tariffs. Amazing tariffs. Tariffs. So beautiful tariffs. The tariffs are necessary, massive tariffs. And I use tariffs. We're using tariffs. And the thing that's going to get us there is tariffs and tariffs. I say often it's my favorite word in the dictionary.
This is a very dumb thing to do.
That's what I do. I do deals. My whole life is deals. That's all I know is deals. We're on time with the tariffs. We've been taken advantage of. We were led by, in some cases, fools, because anybody that would sign documents like they signed, where they were able to take advantage of the American people, like has happened over the last long period of time, except for a little 4-year period that took place 4 years ago. But anybody that would agree to allow this to happen to our country should be ashamed of themselves. This is an abuse that took place for many, many years. And I'm not even blaming the other countries that did this. I blame our leadership for allowing it to happen. I mean, you know, who can blame them if they made these great deals with the United States, took advantage of the United States? If I look at some of these agreements, I'd read them at night and I'd say, who would ever sign a thing like this?
I think the control room actually has a picture of who signed it. Let's see. Ah, yeah, there he is. That's the guy who signed the current trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. He did it the first time he was president.
Did he not know? Had he not been briefed? I don't know. It really is.
On what he called then the greatest trade deal in history.
We're gathered together this afternoon for a very historic occasion, the signing ceremony for a brand new trade deal, the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement. So important. A truly groundbreaking achievement, modern day agreement. The largest, most significant modern and balanced trade agreement in history. All of our countries will benefit greatly. It is probably the largest trade deal ever made also. Something we've been wanting to do for many years. And we're very excited about that.
He still said the opposite thing. I mean, clearly the opposite.
If I look at some of these agreements, I'd read them at night and I'd say, who would ever sign a thing like this? For the first time in American history, we have replaced a disastrous trade deal that rewarded outsourcing with a truly fair and reciprocal trade deal that will keep jobs, wealth, and growth right here in America. And in a true sense, it's also a partnership with Mexico and Canada and ourselves against the world. It's really a trade partnership, if you look at it that way. And it's a day of great celebration in all three countries.
Great celebration in all three countries. The perfect trade deal. Canada, Mexico, and the United States, all three countries. And nothing changed between that day and today.
It's so crazy, forgive me for using that word.
The Biden administration did not change one word of the Donald Trump signed trade agreement with Canada and Mexico.
How quickly they forget.
Yeah, please. On tariffs, you just said with China.
Who are you with?
I'm with The Independent.
Oh, that's good.
It's on tariffs. You just said with China. Thank you. We charge them. We charge them as in we charge China, but the tariffs are paid eventually by American importers and consumers.
No, they're not. No, I think they're paid for by the country.
It's like saying gasoline taxes are paid at the pump by us when we buy gas for our cars. And Donald Trump says, no, they're not.
The problem is that there are people who are going to listen to what the president says and not have the full context of the facts.
These tariffs, if they remain in place for over a month or so, will start costing each U.S. household $830 in extra taxes.
I will tell you, it's going to make our country rich.
American tariffs are paid by American consumers. The truth that everyone in the world knows except Donald Trump and, I guess, Trump voters.
I'm voting for the man that's going to take America back, baby. Donald J. Trump, man. Let's go. Let's go.
There are people who vote for him who don't think he's going to raise prices because he said inflation was the #1 problem and he's going to lower.
Yeah, so what's one of your biggest issues?
My biggest issue is probably going to be inflation because I'm a business owner and it hit me hard because I sell T-shirts and all that stuff.
Your T-shirts are made in the USA?
No, my blanks, no. See, that's the problem. They're not because a blank in USA cost me $20. I can't afford that. But see, that's the thing Trump's talking about. Manufacturing. All these companies have sold out over to the sweatshops. If we tax them, hit tariffs, the same item they're making over there will cost the same to make over here.
We pay the tariffs.
The companies pay the tariffs, not us. Anything.
China doesn't pay the tariffs. We do when they come in.
No, it doesn't work like that. No, whoever's importing is paying the taxes, man. That's the point of it.
No. So when
The
you're
importer.
buying, no, yeah, because you're like if I'm buying 1,000 shirts from China and there's a tariff on it, I'm paying the tariff.
Well, no, whoever's getting it imported in is going to pay the tariffs.
Yeah. I'm the business owner. I'm paying the tariff on the imported good. China doesn't pay it. I pay for it.
Well,
Like if I'm the business owner and I buy 1,000 shirts,
I see what you're saying.
Tariffs.
So I'm familiar with it, man. I import a lot of shit in.
So I'm trying to explain.
Who pays the tariff?
They're paying the tariff.
Do you think that? Do you believe that?
No, because I was trying to say, because I sell merch as well.
So if I sell you something for $10, right? And then you're going to sell it to him for $20.
Exactly.
But then I make you pay me $15 for it. Are you still going to sell it to him for $20?
Am I going to sell it to him for $20?
If I raise the price $5.
Oh, it's going to have to go up.
Right. So
yeah, the consumer foots the bill.
Have a good day.
All right.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm not for that.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today, you told me that you believe that foreign countries pay tariffs, but Americans who are concerned about higher prices believe, as most people do, that they're paid by consumers and importers when they import things into this country. Can you explain how you came to this belief that foreign governments are paying tariffs?
The tariffs are necessary because we've been treated very unfairly by many, many countries, including our friends.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
But I will tell you, it's going to make our country rich, and it's going to stop us from being a laughingstock all over the world, because we have been taken advantage of like no country has ever been taken advantage of. Thank you very much. He was unable to answer the question.
Donald Trump is a laughingstock all over the world for claiming that tariffs he imposes are paid by foreign countries instead of American consumers. If Donald Trump puts a tariff of 50% on a Samsung TV coming into this country, then you will pay 50% more for that TV.
The price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control. And we're working hard to get it back. I'm worried about our country more than anything else. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America starting on April 2nd. It'll be very good for our country because there's goods that come in from other countries and companies uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in and they hurt our American farmers. You know, we just don't need their product.
We don't give a crap about your opinion.
We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. We don't need their cars. We don't need the other products. We don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk. We got a lot of everything. And we don't need any of it.
The U.S. is reaching out to Denmark and other European nations, asking if they've got a little bit of sugar and maybe some eggs because we're trying to make an omelet. No, we've got surging prices here at home, and no joke, we have egg prices here that are shattering records, and there's an accelerating outbreak of bird flu, which has driven down supply. So now there's been a letter from the Ag Department to Denmark looking to borrow some eggs. Do you have some eggs that we could buy? Maybe could you be a source? We're having some trouble here. It's like going to a neighbor. Meanwhile, President Trump has also threatened economic sanctions on Denmark unless it hands over control of Greenland.
It'll be very good for our country.
The sad truth is we don't actually know if Donald Trump is so deeply stupid that he believes what he is saying. I leave it to you to decide which would be better, a president stupid enough to think that foreign countries pay American tariffs, or a president who knows the truth but lies about it.
Spain is very low. And yet, are they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation, Spain. You know what a BRICS nation is? Well, you'll figure it out. But and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay. But we're going to put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States. You know what the BRICS is, right? You guys know.
Brazil,
you know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying. BRICS, the BRICS nations, I think that's breaking up very rapidly. We said that if they're going to go and do anything to undermine the dollar, that includes China. I don't even know that they're a member of BRICS, but they had a few nations get together to try and play cute. And I said, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every one of those nations. It's going to make our country rich. I'm honored to be here with President Enrique Peña Nieto. He's become a great friend of Mexico, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who has also become a great friend. Great friendship, so it's really terrific. So I think Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state. Canada, so many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
We need to do it. We need a fact check. It's not a subsidy, right? Just tell us a little more.
He wasn't even asked about Canada. So once again, calling Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Governor Trudeau. No, at that point, but he said, so a lot was said at that press conference today.
Canada and the United States, that would really be something.
Trump also saying he would use, quote, economic force to pressure Canada to join the United States.
Our relationship, I know, will be a very good one. We've had great conversations, and I think we're going to have a great, great relationship.
We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other.
We're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. This is a different world today.
Let's be clear. If Trump is imposing tariffs, we're ready. We are ready with $155 billion worth of tariffs, and we're ready with the first tranche of tariffs, which is $30 billion, which is already known.
Well, Canadian officials are decrying the Trump administration's move. In statements online, Ontario's Premier Doug Ford said that the tariffs will, quote, hurt America, writing that Canada now has no choice but to hit back and hit back hard. Meanwhile, China's Ministry of Commerce repeated its earlier message of caution that there would be no winner in a trade war. And Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has yet to issue an updated statement, but she has previously said that she would approach tariffs with a, quote, cool head.
Beijing responded by saying it's imposing its own additional tariffs of between 10 and 15% on some US products that will start on the 10th of March.
My guess is that the president was waiting until the very last moment to see if the tariffs do come into effect because, in the past, President Trump at the very last minute withdrew his threat.
Donald Trump rode back in relation to Mexico. And in the last couple of hours, Canada has also won a reprieve on goods covered in a trade agreement with the U.S.
April 2nd is when we do reciprocal tariffs.
Big tariffs. Much bigger tariffs is worth more than tariffs, as an example. Sounds like something I do.
What he had been doing there before talking about Canada was talking about how unfair he feels the relationship with the European Union is.
And then on the 2nd of April, we have reciprocal tariffs. That's reciprocal, where we charge countries what they're charging us. And nobody should have a problem with that. We have reciprocal. It's reciprocity. It's something that I think everybody I've spoken to said that's fair, and it is. If somebody charges us 25%, we charge them 25. If somebody charges us 10 or 15 or 30 or 70, we charge them an exact like amount. And it's pretty simple.
As the United States are applying tariffs worth $28 billion, we are responding with countermeasures worth 26 billion euros. This matches the economic scope of the tariffs of the United States.
The EU has been really very bad to us in terms of trade. Truly fair and reciprocal tariffs, that's reciprocal, where we charge countries what they're charging us. So that's fair, and it is. If somebody charges us 25%, we charge them 25. If somebody charges us 10 or 15 or 30 or 70, we charge them an exact like amount.
Well, I think the president has made it crystal clear that he finds this tit for tat really abusive and aggravating.
It's about fairness.
Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. It's just illogical. Why are Europeans picking on Kentucky bourbon
Secretary
or
Lutnick,
Harley-Davidson motorcycles?
Are you saying this is an emotional response?
It's disrespectful.
Are you saying this is an emotional response, or will we see
response? And all of this showed you is that Europe and Canada do not respect Donald Trump.
I think that no one in this room wants to live in a world where it's the law of the strongest and international borders can be violated from one day to the next by anyone.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. President Putin, I know him very well.
This evening, President-elect Donald Trump refusing to rule out using the military to take control of Greenland and the Panama Canal, and also saying that Canada should become part of the U.S.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale.
Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. I have a very good relationship with President Putin.
Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, off.
Prepared to go on Greenland. You said this morning that the United States needs Greenland.
We need Greenland for national security and international security. So I think we'll go as far as we have to go. We need Greenland. And the world needs us to have Greenland, including Denmark. Denmark has to have us have Greenland.
Tonight, the Prime Minister of Denmark, which owns Greenland, is declaring Greenland is not for sale and will not be in the future either. And Canada's Justin Trudeau is saying there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States.
Mr. President decided to join his wife instead of sending her. She was going to go solo to the dog sled race, and now he's going on Friday.
Who's going into
the Vice President? But Usha was going to go to Greenland on her own.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think you may have JD going, actually. Yeah.
Greenlanders have made it clear. President Trump's threats and overtures aren't welcome.
Whatever that means.
The very aggressive American pressure against Greenlandic society is now so serious that the level cannot be raised any higher.
That it's unacceptable pressure that's being put on both Greenland and Denmark in this situation. And it's a pressure that we will resist.
Bye-bye, have a good flight. Please go back home, I'm sure you'll be alright. Your head, lay on your own bed.
and we say bye-bye.
President Trump says he will do whatever it takes to take control of Greenland. Speaking to an NBC reporter, Trump said that that includes military force, but it probably won't be needed.
I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I know him very well.
This comes one day after Vice President Vance visited a U.S. military base in Greenland. The trip has sparked international backlash. The foreign minister of Denmark, which owns Greenland, released this video on social media.
And of course, we are open to criticism. But let me be completely honest. We do not appreciate the tone in which is being delivered. This is not how you speak to your close allies. And I still consider Denmark and the United States to be close allies.
So what do you think could come next?
Farmers, our farmers. The American farmer, I love the farmer. So to our farmers.
Back in January, the president moved to freeze billions of dollars in foreign aid from the State Department and USAID, causing aid programs around the world to ground to a halt. But the effects are also being felt closer to home by farmers who relied on USAID to purchase their product and distribute it overseas.
Tariffs to China, tariffs to Mexico, tariffs to Canada, USAID, it's over, it's done. Every time he makes those type of drastic announcements, he affects America's farmers.
It'll be very good for our country.
Within days of taking office, President Trump dismantled USAID, a humanitarian program that's been a lifeline for the most vulnerable around the world, and a critical source of income for U.S. farmers, paying them hundreds of millions of dollars a year for their crops. He also froze some funding for farmers and rattled trade markets.
Gambling with farmers' lives. They're gambling with my life.
But I will tell you, it's going to make our country rich.
In fact, about 1 million American farmers rely on the USDA for financial assistance every year. USAID bought over 200 million metric tons of milo from American farmers.
It's just amazing how quickly these people are feeling the impact of these decisions. This was about USAID, but we did hear talk about tariffs.
They're hearing Trump talk about tariffs, but now they're worried it's going to be much worse because you have the USAID stuff, that money is not coming in, and Trump has frozen all of those funds. It's just really sad what's going on. You know, for these farmers, this is their life, and it's taking a toll on them mentally, and that's a big problem.
So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too.
The chaos is still going to be looming.
If you're the one who's looking at losing your farm, losing your business, losing your livelihood, which is happening to a lot of people. He also said there would be a little disturbance from the tariffs, and the little disturbance manifested itself this week in a huge drop in the stock market.
I don't know, what's the problem?
US stock markets, not surprisingly, off the back of the announcement from the White House that these tariffs would be going ahead, responded pretty badly. That was the close of trade.
Fake news.
Mr. Trump says the recent dramatic falls in financial markets, crashing to their lowest level since November last year, has nothing to do with his change of heart. Well, Darshini David is here with me. The bottom line is the markets don't like trade wars. That's the bottom line.
They do not, Clive.
But I will tell you, it's going to make our country rich, and it's going to stop us from being a laughingstock all over the world.
At the Munich Security Conference, Vice President Vance condemned free speech violations in the UK, particularly. Could you respond? What is your message?
I have an idea. We have the man right here. Come on. Let's go, JD. We're putting you on stage.
Great. Yeah, look, I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right.
President Trump also taking the time, of course, to bash the media.
In relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Should the defense secretary?
What country are you? Wait, what country are you from?
From the UK.
Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
Okay,
and you, no. You should care about your own borders.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
Let me tell you something. Do you care about people from your country? What about all the women that are raped by migrants?
Do you care
No,
about
by migrants. No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Do you care about American lives being put at risk?
You know what? I don't care. I don't.
Members fighting for your country.
I don't care about your fake news. Do you have a relevant question? Yeah, this is an American journalist. Thank you.
I'm an American, and I'd like to hear your answer to what she's asking.
I'm not answering her question because I don't care about her network. If you would like to ask, I can answer.
Do you have any concerns whatsoever about the complete disregard of operational security from the top level of this administration?
You want to know about complete disregard about operational security? You should talk about the Biden administration, how they ripped our borders open to terrorist, cartel, child sex trafficking, human trafficking, and drug trafficking across our borders for 4 years.
Well, the problem is that if you look at the numbers in terms of immigration flows on the US-Mexico border, they've been the lowest even since when Donald Trump was in the White House in the first time around.
The Trump administration is doing a great job, and I stand by their statements. I stand by their statements. My comment to you is I'm thankful to President Trump that he is leading us out of wars, that he's ending the war in Ukraine, where American lives could have been killed if Joe Biden was still president today, whether he liked it or not. We're talking about NPR and PBS today. We're talking about fake news that was funded with federal funding from American taxpayers. That's what this is about today, not journalists from the UK that should care about their...
A journalist is being vilified for exposing failings in the way that your government conducts itself.
And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
That journalist from The Nation is being forcibly removed. He said he was told he had a sign, a malicious item as he described it, and then held up a piece of paper that said nuclear weapon ban. There are now 4 members escorting him out of the room forcibly.
Members of the United States Congress, thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back.